You are 30 meters underwater, visibility is collapsing, your umbilical is tightened against the structure, and the only calm voice you can hear is your supervisor telling you to stop moving. A few hours earlier, your shift started on deck with coffee, cold wind, and a job briefing rather than anything remotely cinematic. You are already a commercial diver, which means going underwater to inspect, maintain, and repair structures that cannot simply be brought to the surface. Before anyone enters the water, the team reviews the task, depth, expected conditions, hazards, communications, emergency arrangements, and the point at which the dive will be stopped. Wind, current, tide, vessel movement, and visibility can change the entire operation, so conditions are checked before the first helmet is even lifted. You inspect your helmet, suit, harness, bailout supply, weights, and connections, because a small defect on deck can become a serious problem underwater. Your surface-supplied umbilical carries breathing gas and communications, while also physically connecting you to the team above. Before entering the water, you speak through the helmet while the supervisor confirms that both sides can hear each other clearly. A working dive is never just you. A supervisor controls the operation, a tender manages your umbilical, and a standby diver remains ready if you need help. Your team helps secure the heavy equipment while you mentally run through the task one more time before the helmet is locked into place. Then you step from a stable platform or descend from the work site, and the noisy deck disappears into the muffled world below. You descend under the supervisor's direction, equalizing as pressure increases while the umbilical follows behind you. Sometimes the water is clear, but on many jobs, your lamp illuminates little more than suspended silt a short distance in front of your face. You follow the planned route, structure, or guideline until your gloved hand reaches the exact section you were sent down to work on. Today's job begins with inspection, so you slowly check the structure for damage, corrosion, debris, or anything that looks different from the expected condition. You describe what you can see and feel to the supervisor, turning an underwater inspection into information the surface team can actually use. Marine growth can hide the metal underneath, so part of the shift may be spent cleaning a small area before a meaningful inspection can continue. When visibility disappears completely, you stop relying on your eyes and work methodically with your hands, while keeping track of your orientation. The tender and surface crew send down the equipment needed for the next stage, and you secure each item before beginning work. Depending on the project, you may tighten fittings, position components, measure damage, recover objects, or support underwater construction and maintenance. A task that looks simple on land becomes slower underwater because your gloves are thick, movement is restricted, and every loose object can disappear into darkness. You keep talking to the supervisor throughout the job, reporting progress and problems, instead of silently improvising when something changes. Then the water begins pushing harder across the structure, and suddenly maintaining position takes more effort than doing the actual job. The supervisor pauses the task while the team reassesses the conditions, because finishing quickly is never more important than bringing the diver back safely. Conditions remain acceptable, so you reposition yourself, check the umbilical, and continue with a slower, more deliberate approach. Then you feel resistance behind you and realize the umbilical is no longer running freely back toward the surface. Instead of pulling harder, you stop. Tell the supervisor and carefully trace the umbilical back toward the obstruction. You clear it from the structure, confirm that it is moving freely, and only then return to the work site. While you concentrate on the job, the supervisor is also tracking depth, bottom time, and the decompression requirements that determine when you must leave. Eventually the call comes to stop work, secure the tools, and begin the ascent, even if the task is not completely finished. You rise according to the planned procedure, following instructions rather than simply swimming straight back to the surface. The team receives you at the surface, removes the heavy helmet, and starts checking both you and the equipment immediately. Depending on the dive profile and procedure, the return to normal atmospheric pressure may involve planned decompression, rather than the dive ending the moment you leave the water. Once the dive is complete, you pay attention to how you feel, because unusual pain, dizziness, weakness, or other symptoms after pressure exposure cannot be ignored. The operation is documented with details such as the task, team, depth, times, breathing system, decompression information, conditions, equipment checks, and any incidents or defects. Your next job is often maintenance on deck, rinsing, inspecting, drying, and preparing equipment so the next diver does not inherit a hidden problem. You may spend the next dive as a tender, feeding and recovering another diver's umbilical while listening closely to the operation. On another rotation, you may be the standby diver, dressed and ready to enter the water quickly if the working diver needs assistance. Commercial diving includes long periods of preparation, monitoring, and waiting because safe operations require more time above water than most people expect. The next contract might move you from a harbor wall to a reservoir, bridge, ship, pipeline, offshore structure, or renewable energy site, but the routine of planning and control follows you. Cold water, heavy equipment, awkward body positions, and repetitive manual work make the job physically tiring even when nothing dramatic happens. The hardest skill is staying methodical when you are uncomfortable. Visibility is poor, and the surface team needs accurate information rather than panic. When the operation finally shuts down, equipment is secured, records are completed, and tomorrow's work may already be discussed before you leave the site. Knowing that much of the job is checks, cold water, poor visibility, and controlled risk, could you do this for a living? Tell me in the comments. Every week we put you inside another life most people never experience. So subscribe and choose which dangerous job we should live next.